Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode, I got a couple of rejects with me, and we got a new guest on, somebody that had reached out to me and was actually a fan of the show. So, I mean, what could be even better than that? But he hit me up with a topic that I know zero about. So I'm very excited to have him on, and I got Jin with me to help me out since I don't know much. And we got Matt here as well to drop some of his knowledge. Before we introduce Master GongSun, we will introduce Jin and Matt first. Jin, my man, please let everybody know what is up with you.
What's up, boss, Mr. 93? Thank you, Lauscher, Gongsher, Fasher. I'm not sure. We'll find out in a few minutes, I guess, and maybe explain like what I even said. And I even told Nick I'd never speak Mandarin on air. But anyways, there you go. There's a fresh Jin lore. But anyways, you can follow me at Wukong Reborn, WUKONG Reborn. My show is called Threshold Saints. You can find it at Apple, Spotify, of course, The Grey Lodge, thetruegraylodge.com, TRVE, graylodge.com, and YouTube. Like and subscribe. Matt is our webmaster and my co-host, and along with 4 other boys. So we have a lot of fun doing speculative Kala Chakra, speculative Gnosticism, and speculative Kabbalah every Friday night live. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Thank you guys so much. And I have an episode with Gregory Peters dropping today on New Way on Tantra with Solar. Thank you.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I always appreciate it. And we got Matt. What is going on, sir? You're back on again. I always love having you here. Thank you very much. Oh, I think you're still muted there, sir.
Sorry about that. Thanks.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, love to be here as well. Always fun. Thanks a lot for calling me again. And we'll definitely have a lot of fun today with Taoism, which I really enjoy. And obviously, I always see connections with Kabbalah as well. So I'm Matt Mora. You can find me on many social medias, always at MattMora19. That's X, Twitter. I mean, it's the same. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And also my website, that's Kabbalah.com, KAABALAH.com. You can see what I do there. Sometimes services, doing them more frequently nowadays. And also a lot of apps, which some new stuff coming on. So make sure to follow there. And yeah, let's go today.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Matt. And again, I appreciate you making it. And finally, to the guest himself, Master GongSun, thank you again for reaching out. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't know what kind of Thelemite I would be. I don't know much about Taoism. Crowley even got into it, but it is something I am not hip to. So please let everybody know what your deal is, where they can find your stuff, and I guess we'll get into it after that, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick, for having me on. I am a Taoist disciple and a master of the Maosan sect. And in Maosan style Taoism, we're known for drawing talismans. In the West, you would call it sigils, so something like this, for example.
Oh.
And yeah, and I'll explain this a bit more later on. And you can find me online at Master GongSun Taoism on YouTube. And I started my own lineage of Taoism called the Sweet Divine Tao, and it's at sweetdivinetao.com.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. I know we spoke a little bit prior. You did kind of, I guess you said you grew up in Taoism, so I guess asking you what got you into this, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to give it a little bit of background about how you got into the Taoism, like what I guess experiences you have and what you've studied.
Yes, certainly. Well, I did grow up in Taoism, but I wasn't serious about practicing until I was in my early 30s when I had a supernatural experience. I was, just briefly, I was visiting my friend in a rural part of Cambodia. And those, I need to set up the background. Those places there, it's really rural. It's like dirt, dusty roads, no street lights after dark. So if you find yourself without a flashlight at night, then you're flat out of luck. It's completely pure black, like complete darkness.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's extremely creepy. And the thing is, it's a very haunted place that I found myself in. I was visiting a friend, and the history of Cambodia was that during the reign of the Khmer Rouge, Like that's like Pol Pot era in the 1970s. Lots of people were
Oh,
killed.
yeah.
Yeah. So he was telling me, when you come, expect to experience some creepy things. You never know what you'll see because lots of people were actually 50 years ago they were killed and then they were not given a proper burial. Their bodies were haphazardly thrown into the ditch right across the street from my house. So I was like, okay, well, I didn't know what to expect. I thought he was half joking, but he wasn't. But he wasn't, and instead, anyway. So people keep dogs here because it's not actually to scare off thieves and robbers because it's a small town where everyone knows everyone else. Right? There's only so much you can get away with, but it's actually to keep a watch out for supernatural entities. So anyway, I was at late at night around 11. I was in my room just working, and I noticed that the dog was barking like crazy. So I went outside, and then I took my flashlight, and I saw that the dog was barking at someone walking just past the gate. So I was thinking, okay, that's no big deal because dogs don't bark at people that they know. They only bark at strangers, right? So then at 12 midnight, I heard the dog bark again like crazy. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just another stranger. But I'm curious because who would walk past, the gate this late at night? So I go and then I shine my flashlight, and there, by the way, that's where I charge my flashlights. By the way, I took my flashlight and shone it onto something, and then I saw the dog was barking at something, and this entity was standing right between. It was the neighbor's gate, actually. It was the neighbor's fence. So imagine, like, here, right? So I'm on the balcony, staring down. The neighbor's fence is this way, and then this entity was standing between the neighbor's fence and a tractor. Now that's a very weird place for a person to stand. It's a very awkward place to stand, and who would do that at midnight? Uh, so anyway, and then I show my flashlight on it. And I'm thinking, well, is this a person? Like, what's he doing, right? And I noticed his upper body is completely covered in blue, but his lower body, he's wearing some sort of white cloth. So blue cloth upper body, white cloth lower body. So his face was covered up, and I could see like the holes of where, like, the human eyes and the nostrils and the mouth would be. I'm thinking this is either a scarecrow or a mall mannequin or something I've never seen before. But what an awkward place to stand at midnight when the dog suddenly noticed it. And now I realize why it appeared at midnight, because according to Taoism, that's called the hour of the seed. It's called 子时 in Mandarin, the hour of the seed. And it's the most yin, right? Yin yang, that's probably the most famous concept that the West knows about in terms of Taoism. It's the most yin time of the entire cycle. So there we are. And then I show my light on it through once because I thought, okay, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. Nope. I turn off the light and I'm like thinking, okay, maybe I'm just seeing things. I turn on my flashlight again and it's still there. I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I am completely sober. It's too early for me to be sleeping because I don't sleep till 2 or 3 a.m. It's too early for me to be dreaming. So this is real. So I do the same thing again. I turn off the flashlight. I shine it back on the thing again. It's still there. And that's when I began to feel a bit creeped out. Like, I know I'm not hallucinating. I don't know what the hell that is. But maybe I should leave well enough alone and take my friend's advice, because he told me, you'll see something, and when you do, don't interfere, don't do anything, just go back to your room. So I did, but honestly, it didn't feel like it cared about me. It didn't move or anything. It felt like I was bothering it by shining my flashlight on him. Because when you're out there in the middle of the night by yourself, if you're a human, if someone shines a flashlight on you, wouldn't you turn your head to look to see who the hell is doing that? Right? So who is that calm? Right? Like, I don't think it was human. Whatever it was my first encounter with something supernatural. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn to Taoism. I'm going to become ordained to figure out what the hell that was. I'm exaggerating a bit there, but
Yeah.
it instigated my interest into things that are beyond our earthly senses, beyond our five senses, things that exist but we cannot see or hear.
So I was kind of going to ask a question, and I guess you kind of answered it already. Like, so I guess this experience, like somehow Taoism, like rang true to you to explore.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I was already in Asia, and I was exposed a bit to Buddhist beliefs as well, and because Cambodia is a very Buddhist country, but there's huge pockets of Chinese Cambodians, uh, and I just gravitated back towards Taoism because it's what I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, I get that. Jenna, Matt, did you have anything you wanted to ask or say? Move on.
Well, I've got a couple questions, but I'll start with this. Master GongSun, GongSun, sorry, I apologize. Would you explain like just some of the cosmology just generally for people who are like totally unfamiliar with Taoism? Like what does the heavenly hierarchy or like or is it ghosts or is it like what are the nature of spirits that we're talking about? And also like what is the primary focus in Taoism in terms of like is it soteriological like with Christianity where you're trying to, you know, sort of escape the worldly system, or is it more Kabbalistic where you're escaping like the whole conceptual framework of reality, that kind of stuff?
That's a great question. Well, to start off, the basics is I would consider Taoism to be the paganism or the Wicca of the East because I see a lot of parallels about living in harmony with nature, about the guardians of the four directions, which we have in Taoism as well. Uh, it's very much, I would say, it's a chaos magic of the East.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and well, I think a lot of people are familiar with this. I have a lot of props to show people, but this is a what we call a Taiji Tu. It's called Yin Yang symbol, or Taiji Tu in Mandarin, and these are the trigrams. They represent the just the different. Well, this is Qian and this is Qin, and it means like the divine Yang or the skies, or the divine Yin, which is the earth. Right. So it started off as observation, actually. We're just observing, hey, why does the sun set every night? And why does it like come back up again in the morning? Right. And so it's stuff like, and through the observation, so kind of like science, where through this observation, we discover certain truths about the natural world. For example, and that's where you come up with the 12 rules of yin and yang, right? For example, great yin leads to little yang. And I'll give you an example of how that is. So it's always darkest before dawn, right? That's the Western saying. Around what, 3 or 4 a.m., right? That is quite yin because it's really dark at that time, right? But it becomes little yang because an hour later, hey, it's sunrise. We can see daybreak, right? So it's these rules that that are a result of the observation of nature. So it started off very much about nature.
Anything else?
And yes, and I believe someone, I saw a comment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Right. The many world theory. There are infinite number of realms. The official, in the official, the what's the word I'm looking for? The official stance is that there are 9 heavens, 九天, and it's reflected in all the incantations we have. For example, when you are offering incense, for example, let's grab some incense here. When you're offering incense, you're supposed to recite the offering incense incantation, right? And the very end of that incantation is 精达九天. It means that we want the incense to take our energy and our prayers to the 9 heavens, right? So I would say it is there's the physical realm, which is what we call the 人间, right? And that extends to all the other planets like Mars, Mercury, all of that, right? And then we have the different planes. So it's actually similar to some Western New Age thought, the astral planes. There is an equivalent of astral projection in Taoism as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I noticed because I studied a bit of Western Taoism. I've been studying a little bit because I noticed there's lots of equivalents between Taoism, Eastern and Western occult. Very like similar. For example, the adage was it's as above, so below, right? That's very like Wicca, but that's also Taoist.
Oh, it was just like, well,
Yeah,
honestly, what you explained
yeah.
it before, it's simple, the heavens and the earth. I mean, as
Yeah,
above, so
yeah,
below.
exactly. Right. Yeah. So somehow the ancients they didn't actually communicate. They couldn't because of the vast distances, but they all came to this essentially similar conclusions. They drew to similar conclusions just from observation.
One
Nice.
question, one question I just want to ask real quick, and I not to like spur off on this, but I don't know if you're into it or not, but maybe you said you were actually a fan of the channel. Have you ever noticed any stuff where you're like, oh, this sounds like Kabbalah in some ways? Like, do you ever see influences or ties, you think, to Kabbalah and what you're into?
Yes, yes, that's a great question. I studied a little of the Kabbalah too, and they have the tree of life, for example, in the Kabbalah, right? The crown, the 'cause I don't speak Hebrew because so I don't remember
Oh, it's
what the
okay.
official name is, right? But I remember like the English translations, right? And there is right because we have the different realms of existence, right? We have the physical realm, the non-physical, right? We have the astral planes, lower astral, all the way up to what mental, causal, Buddhic, divine, and that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the great comment. Everything comes back to number 9. Yeah, the 9 magic squares in Taoism, for example, the He Tu, river of the river map. It's also astrology at the same time. And there's a
So
whole branch of Taoism devoted to astrology and predicting our destiny just based on our birth, our time, date, year, and month of birth. It's called Ba Zi, the 8 or the 4 pillars, 8 characters, 4 pillars.
did you just say 9 planetary squares? Did you say something like that?
It's actually called the magic square, Luoshu magic squares, but there are
Magic.
9 squares. Yeah, there are 9 squares. Let's
That's
see if I
very.
have a picture of that. Yeah.
I mean, you see stuff like that in Agrippa and like prior.
Hmm. Yeah,
That is,
they all came to the similar conclusion. So something is up there. Something must have happened there. Like, there's no way they were writing letters to one another. So I'm not sure how they influence each other. But it's a long, even
cool.
from on the Silk Road, it's a long way from China to Europe.
Well,
Yeah,
I can make
also-
an oh, sorry, apologies.
Yeah, just one quick thing. Isn't it on Taoism also that they have this? I don't remember. Is it on the Tao Te Ching or where is it?
Mhm.
But they have it like from the Tao came the
Yes.
Yang, from the Yang came the Yin, and
Yeah.
then from the Yin
Yeah.
came all the things, something like that.
Yes.
They-
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know
Oh yeah.
if you
Oh, I love that one there. I love that
Yeah.
picture.
if you can recite it because like in Kabbalah it's gonna be more or less the same same
Mhm.
idea.
It
you have
is.
Keter,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Atman, Binah, and then everything.
Yeah, the primordial chaos, the Wuji gave rise to the Taiji from 1, gives rise to the 2, 2 to 3, and 3 came 10,000 things. Yeah, that you're right. That's exactly from the Tao Te Ching, and that is written by someone called Lao Tzu. It means the old one, actually. He didn't actually found Taoism, but he's very much revered and honored in the faith.
I was just gonna say, Matt is really good at the bakwa, and
Oh.
like even better than me at the sort of like the 8 trigrams. He kind of gets it. Like he kind of has mapped it to Kabbalah through his system.
wow.
So I just want to say, so he's quite good at it. But I wanted to follow up on what you said about Lao Tzu, because I think a lot of people misunderstand like that point. Like, there are different kinds of Taoists, as you said, and there are different sort of cosmologies that are both more esoteric cosmology exists, but then also like a quote unquote folk cosmology exists, where they might put a Buddha, or they might put Jade Emperor, or they might put Guan Yin, depending on like your level of, I guess, knowledge in the esoterica. So can you just explain like what happens when like a person who's never experienced Taoism walks into a Taoist temple? Like what should they expect to see? What should they like take note of? And like what spirits are, especially for your school or your sect, or for the sect that you are trained in, which are the most important and why?
Right, great question. Well, in China, because they try to harmonize religions. So, like when Buddhism arrived in China, it competed with Taoism, and then the authorities had a policy called syncretism. So they wanted to harmonize religions, or else it'll be in conflict, and and then that will lead to like the wars of religions in Europe, right? I mean, Protestants versus Catholics, but so you might see like Guan Yin, but Guan Yin is actually like a bodhisattva and is Buddhist, but somehow she made it into the pantheon. But we have an equivalent in Taoism called Cihan Zenren, and it's just someone similar, so someone who, a woman who accumulated great merit and then managed to become an immortal, or what we call a xian, after death, which is actually the goal of Taoism. Actually, the goal of Taoism is to break the cycle of reincarnation, become an immortal ourselves, so we don't have to come back and suffer again. Because both, in general, both Taoists and Buddhists view this earthly realm as not good, as a place of suffering. In general, not everyone, but yeah.
Is it in Taoism that there is like 8 immortals, or is it somewhere else?
Oh, you're right. Yes. Actually, there's a huge pantheon. There's more than 8. There's like thousands of them, actually. But the one that you're mentioning, I think you may have seen a movie about them. You may have heard them. But there are 8 immortals that are famous because of what they did. But they all come from different eras of Chinese history. Actually, they didn't all live around the same time. But yes, I'm very impressed that you know about the Ba Xian, the eight immortals. Yeah, there's actually a comedy movie, Hong Kong cinema. There's a comedy about them actually. But anyway, so to get back to Wukong's question, you at first glance it might seem similar actually when you enter a Taoist temple, similar as into a Buddhist temple, but the differences are that the Taoism is uniquely Chinese, and the liturgy is just in Chinese. So if you can read and write Chinese, like you don't need to learn a different language, right? For example, if you want to read the Bible, was it originally written in? Wasn't it Aramaic that Jesus spoke, right? Or written in Hebrew, and that was translated into Greek, Greek to Latin, Latin to English, right? So that's a lot of translations. A lot could be lost in translation. But in Taoism, the meaning has been retained, and nothing was lost because it's the same language. And of course, Buddhism is in Sanskrit. Now, to answer Howard's question here, what's the main difference between Taoism and Taoism? The answer is nothing. It's just written differently because of the romanization of the Chinese language into English. Before it was called like Taoism, but it's technically supposed to be Taoism because of what you call Hanyu Pinyin. So I just pronounce it Taoism because it's what people are most familiar with. But there's no difference. It's the same thing.
I thought I was fucking that all up. I was like, wow, I've been mispronouncing it this whole time. Wow.
Yeah, I have a question, because you mentioned the Baozi, which is, I guess, what people in West would call like the astrology, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct.
But also, I would say most likely people will only know it by their like what then we would associate it as the year sign.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty sure it's much more complex than that. Like anytime I try to search something about it, there's like a million other things, obviously. And I'd like to understand from you, like, how do you, if you do use it in your practice in some way? Because, for example, in Western magic, you can use astrology for a lot of things. You can use it to plan some ritual or to like consecrate, like we were talking about the sigils. You can make some sigils or some talismans based on the astrology thing, or you can, like plan ahead. You can do a lot of stuff, or like read someone. You can do many things. So I'm interested to understand from your point of view, if maybe in your school or from what you know about Taoism, how they use this as well, this tool.
Great question. It's about the same. We use it just as because there are actually 5 different applications of Taoism, and the spots of the astrology is a part of what we call destiny studies. It's called a Ming Xue, and it's like it's not set in stone, but like if you calculate someone's spots, you can figure out what their life is likely to be if they continue to be on the same path and make the same decisions, right? But we have this in order to get a glimpse into the future, and it's kind of like a warning, right? If you don't change, if you're going to be like this, then this is what your future will likely be like. So yes, we use it too for similar purposes.
Nice. And is there like, is it too, because for example, with astrology, Western astrology, a lot of people will obviously then only know their sun sign, and then people will make a lot of associations from that, but it's not like, if you then understand astrology, see it, it's not exactly like that. There's a lot of other things, and the sun is like just a small part of it. So I guess the same happens with when someone just knows their year sign from biology. Would you like, I don't know if it makes sense here to just like maybe give a small clarification of how is it uh, how is it formed? Because for example, in astrology, you have all these signs, and then you have houses and so on. But as far as I know about me, you have like pillars.
Right, right. Well,
How
we
it
have
works.
we have it. Well, we need to know the exact like hour and minute, day, date, month, and year of someone's birth, right? And then that's paired with the what we call the 10. I'm trying to translate this into English. 10 heavenly stems and the 12 earthly. No, I know I got that mixed up. 10 heavenly branches and the 12 earthly pillars. And I'll give you an example of what it is. Actually, it's actually all written here. It's written in Chinese, but like because I mentioned I have this thing here, and so that's the Taiji Tu, or the Yin Yang symbol, right? The trigrams, and here on the outer part is actually the old Chinese calendar. So it's stuff like, for example, Li Dong is like the establishment of winter, xiaoxue, little snow, right? Just based on observations of China anyway, because I know that in other countries, in the tropical areas, right, they don't have snow, right? And they're humid all year round, right? But yeah, so then that's paired with stuff like this, what we call, I mentioned actually something called the zisi, right? And that's the ancient Chinese way of telling time. Zisi is the hour of the seed, and that's around 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., and that's the most yin time of night. And yeah, so that's paired with someone's birth would be paired with the heavenly stems and the earthly branches, and then we look at compatibility, and that also has, you have to pair that with the 12 phases. I think that's a better translation. Some people call it elements, but it's not true, because they're phases, because like water, earth, and all that, they turn into each other, right? So there's but that's similar too in the Western occult, right? You have like air, water, fire.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, and then we see, and it's all about balance. Then we see if there's conflict or if there's balance, right? If someone has too much fire or not enough water, right? And that could lead to certain events. Yep.
Very nice. And do you personally or your school has any like daily practice, like something that you kind of want to do daily? Maybe okay, if you miss a day or whatever, but like you want to do daily, you should probably do daily.
Oh, great question. Yeah, I love that question. Yes, I do. I like to practice the light of the golden. I mean, sorry, what is it called? The Sutra of the Golden Light. And for those of you familiar with Buddhism, you may have heard of that. It's the light technically from the sun, and this is what it looks like in talisman form. I'll explain. Here is the sigil of the golden light, and this individually they have meaning, but put together this has no meaning. So even for someone who can read Chinese but is not Taoist, they don't know what it means. This refers directly to the Ziwei Gong, meaning the purple palace of the Jade Emperor in the heavens. So and that's where the golden light comes from. So I practice this because it's a part of cultivation, what we call you may have heard of Qi Gong, and it helps for me to cultivate not just my own energy, but also also it actually protects against, like, for example, if you see any or encounter any evil entities, you just recite the what we call the Sutra of the Golden Light, and then you mentally draw this in the air or like with your fingers, and that's gonna scare them off, and it'll make you calm down as well, make you feel better too.
That was a great question, Matt. I have a quick follow up. So, gestural magic is really associated with Taoism, especially in the West, and because of like all the famous movies. Like I love the Mr. Vampire series personally. I love
right,
Chinese, like all Hong Kong
Me too.
cinema. Anyone who grows up in the West, like that is Chinese descent. They pretty much love Hong Kong movies. So that's a given.
Yes.
But then also when you showed the Fulu charm or the seal charm, you're right that I cannot read the characters, even though normally I can read Chinese, but there is one character that I do recognize. So it's lightning, Lei. So this is a really important idea in Taoism, that like the descent of the Lei Shen. Like, can you explain a little bit about that, Master GongSun?
Yeah, certainly. There's something called thunder magic in Taoism, where you try to absorb the yang energy, and there's a certain practice that you cultivate every day. But you're right about that. Like this is the root radical. It means rain. So the fact that we have rain here means that in early ancient times, Taoism was actually associated with shamanism, because the shamans would try to summon rain to end the drought. So that's why we have this character here, Yu, meaning rain. And of course, and that's very similar to Lei, meaning thunder, because it's all weather phenomena. But we certainly need all the rain, because it's life affirming, it's life giving, right? Without water, right, we would all die within a few days. Moisture, right? Yes. So that is exactly, and that's a really good question too. Yeah, there are all sorts of different cultivation in Taoism, and thunder magic is one of them for sure. You're supposed to actually absorb the yang energy, because we want to be in a state of balance. We can't just have yin all the time, right? In fact, if you die in a state of too much yin energy, you become what we call a gui xian, and it means an immortal, but you're a ghost, and not in a good way.
You're like stuck in a loop.
Yeah, because that's too much yin energy. Yeah. Yep.
Residual haunting. That's what you end up turning into.
Yeah, you become an evil spirit like rigor mortis. Go watch rigor mortis. Oh,
that's a great movie. Yeah, it's really scary. Actually, I find it pretty scary. But
no, that's a really scary one. That's a great movie,
right?
though.
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah, that will explain everything. They have Taoist priests battling hopping corpses called Gangsters. And I love Mr. Vampire too. It's it sparks a lot of like curiosity in Taoism, because the priest in that movie was of the same sect as I am, Mao San, and that's what we're known for. We're known for writing these sigils and battling hopping corpses. Now, I've never seen one myself, so I'm not one of those movie star Taoist priests. I'm just a humble practitioner, and I teach people.
Jin, did you have any other questions?
Oh, gesture magic. So how important is that to Taoism? And I know that Nick talks about this when he was in the OTO, like he would do the lesser banishing pentagram, the greater banishing pentagram, and they do a lot of hand gestures. But like from where my background is more chaos magic and then also grimoires. So for me, nobody was like, oh, you need to do this gesture. It was kind of like free flow until I really got to be a serious Buddhist, like later. And I learned how to do pujas for myself. But just explain like how important is that, and in what modes do you employ them?
Mm-hmm. Great question. These are they're from the Sanskrit, actually, the word mudra, right? The gestures. And that's what it's called. So we use them to empower and seal certain incantations. For example, I mentioned the Sutra of the Golden Light, this one here, right? So whenever I practice, there are many mudras you can actually do. For example, you can do 2 sword mudras here, and then just begin chanting, or you can do this one here. And so it depends on which incantation that you're chanting. Like I chant that one. I mentioned the golden light. I also chant the it's called Jing Xin Sen Zhou, meaning the purifying the heart or mind incantation. So this one is here, like this, right? And I just begin to chant, and I envision the sigil. The sigil is important too, because when you're chanting, you have to be completely using your visualization skills and to imagine whatever sigil is associated with your incantation that has to go within your body to empower yourself. Yeah, and yeah, mudras, right? And so that this is like the purifying heart, and then if you purify your mouth, and this is called there's something similar in the Kabbalah where you have to purify your, it's called logos, or I don't remember what it is. You guys are much more experts in Western occult than I am, but you have to clean your mouth before your incantations will be effective, right? And then like the mudra comes down here for the purifying the mouth incantation. So yes, great question, Mr. Wukong Jin, because and that I believe I'm not sure if maybe one influenced the other, but I think Taoism may have gotten the mudra thing from Buddhism, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, 谢谢老师. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. But I think that you're right. And like there has been a lot of French scholarship on the sort of the transmission in the 1st and 2nd century, especially. But then also when you have like the mix, I know this ignites everyone in the chat, but if you say like the Scythians, there was a group of mixed Scythians. So they weren't 100%, but they were mixed, and they came into China. And Amoghavajra is the most famous with his flaming red hair. And anyways, he came in, and so a lot of the Taoist magic, what Taoist magic looks like now, and Buddhist magic as well, was influenced directly in this kind of syncretic time. So there's an idea that maybe the sigils either came from Taoism or came from Buddhism, and they sort of married, and they became like more of a spiritual technology, like that is more universal in Central and East Asia, or vice versa. So I think, and also the mudras. So the mudras definitely come from Buddhism, but I think that it's like a mutual adoption, like different methodologies. Like you were saying, the sword mudra. So like obviously we do all the mudras and we visualize the bija. So just very similar as a sigil, or we use the whole mantra. And some mantras can be written in Chinese, as I'm sure you know this. This is more for like people who are unfamiliar. And sometimes they can be visualized also as deities, but the deities themselves are actually the word. So, and then this also links it to what you were saying about the logos in Kabbalah. So it all kind of, there is a kind of interflow and a way that this all makes sense. And I just wanted to point out that you're totally correct about having a clean mouth, but this is not just Kabbalah. This is also in Tantra. I'm sure as you know this, and especially in Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, there's a lot of dietary restrictions based on the lunar calendar. Well, I also cannot eat before I do morning sadhana. So like we don't eat rajasic foods if we're doing certain parts of it, meaning like garlic, onions, chilies, like all that, tamasic and rajasic foods. So yeah, it's definitely the idea of like ritual purity is really important for us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very well said. Just to add on to that, because I have drawn what we call one of the sigils. So this is zhu xiang, meaning the offering of the incense sigil for this. Now this part is Chinese, but this is not. So I'm not even sure where the sigils come from. But you mentioned it could very well be, if it's from Buddhism, maybe this is like Sanskrit perhaps, or maybe it was influenced by Sanskrit. But this is definitely not Chinese writing. I know that's how you're supposed to write the sigil, but I'm not sure where it came from.
This is my last thing, and then I'll let Nick or Matt go. I apologize. There is actually a magical script that is specifically developed for writing magical language in Buddhism or Tantra.
Oh.
That is called Siddham script. And so you can actually construct entire sutras, so exoteric texts. Like you could write a Bible in Siddham script, but because the Siddham script has an innately magical meaning and maybe preserved in and of itself, it can actually impart also magical meaning. So even though it's a sutra, it can impart grimoire kind of knowledge as well. But maybe you don't. The regular practitioner wouldn't necessarily know right away.
Oh, that's so cool.
I have a question as well. So there seems to be a lot of things. I mean, when I think about like Chinese esotericism or like mysticism or from that area, and there are a lot of things that I'm not necessarily sure if Taoism is going to be the root, but it's certainly somehow connected. For example, Feng Shui, with I'm butchering the word, by the way, sorry about that, but just so I can do it. So I know, for example, obviously then it gets drained on, and even though when it comes to the West, it gets even worse again, like with the same idea, people just knowing about the year's time. The Feng Shui, they would just think, oh, it's just about like putting this there and so on, but there's there's many other things behind it. But would you, like, is there a set of practices or like teachings maybe that are connected necessarily to Taoism? Or is it, for example, Feng Shui is a thing that came afterwards, after someone learned Taoism, they kind of came up with it? That's what I'm asking. Like, or is it already part of the thing?
A great question. That's a part of what is called the wushu, meaning the 5 arts. So I mentioned destiny studies. That's one of them, right? Feng Shui is actually, let me put it this way. So 八字, right? Remember the 八字, the 4 pillars, the 8 characters. That's your astrology, right? That's the diagnosis. Feng Shui would be the cure, right? How do we live more in harmony with nature, right? Should I build my house next to a cemetery, right? In Eastern culture, that's a huge taboo. Like no Chinese person would want to live next to a cemetery. It may not be, that might be a cultural thing. It may not be the same in Western culture, but certain areas do not have good feng shui, and that could affect the health and the prosperity of all the inhabitants of that house. So yes, that is one of the five arts that have been derived from Taoism.
Nice. So would you say like then Bazi like being the first one, Feng Shui being the last one, and then what would be the ones in between, like the other 3?
Oh, wow. Right. There's also traditional Chinese medicine. So there's Yi, right? There is, of course, the destiny studies, right? And there's also, because feng shui would actually be a part of like how best to live more in harmony with nature in order to be healthy and prosperous. And yes, and there's also and that would be a part of like, I would say, divination studies. And of course you've heard of the Yi Jing, right? Or pronounced Yi Ching in the West, right? That's our form of divination as well. We used to, well, we supposed to use yarrow sticks or yarrow stalks, but you could use coins for that as well. And the rest of them are also, there's another called xiang, meaning physical inspection, meaning that physiognomy, that's what it's called in the West, where we look at how big your nose is in order to see how much money you'll make at age 32, for example, right? And also, there's also one called mountain, meaning san, and that has to do with alchemy, immortality, and like qigong and all that, and cultivation. Yeah, so those are the 5.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I do know that you did say you had some stuff that you wanted to show. Besides that, I don't know if you got to show everything that you wanted to show, but could you maybe we'll start off with explaining your outfit?
Sure. This is what I would wear during ordinary times. So in this respect, I'm no different from a Catholic priest, because I remember when I used to attend church, they would wear green during ordinary times when they celebrate Mass, but they would change to, what was it? I don't remember, but it was a different color, like what was it, white or whatever it was, to to celebrate Christmas Mass or Easter Mass. Of course, Easter being the most important holiday in the Christian calendar because of the resurrection of Christ. And yeah, so this is what I would normally wear just on a regular day. I'm not affiliated with the temple anymore. I used to be in Hong Kong. That's where I learned my craft. And this is a regular Taoist hat called Dao Mao, right? And we have of course, the Tai Chi Tu with the yin yang symbol and the trigrams. And in order to practice Taoism, you actually need to have a lot of tools. You need to invest in some tools, but they're not that expensive. Like, for example, I have 2 ceremonial swords here, right? And this Jen might be familiar with, because if you remember from the Mr. Vampire series, the Taoist priest played by Lin Zhengyin, he had this is called a coin sword, right? And it's actually made of ancient Chinese coins. This is just a replica; it's not actually real coins, but and it's in that shape. And another kind is peach wood, and these 2 swords are meant to stop the Gangsters, the hopping corpses, from from eating you. Yeah, and yes, and so there's this, and this was given to me by my master, actually, consecrated, or otherwise called Kai Guang, or opening the light. I have this one too, with a special sigil here, and these are just ceremonial swords, but they're actually meant to protect you against supernatural entities as well. And you'll notice that this is not sharp. It's not sharp because it's not a letter opener, and it's not meant to harm other people. It's not meant to hurt humans. It's meant to hurt ghosts, and ghosts are not physical, so it doesn't matter if it is sharp. Right? Ghosts can't get hurt by this, but they can through the magical incantations and the consecration. Yeah, so lots of things that we kind of need to invest in, but they're not really that expensive. And this is, of course, the talisman, the sigil, this paper.
Master GongSun, I have a follow-up for the sword. I love that. This is my favorite part. But how important is ghost, both veneration and exorcism? Like, I kind of know the answer to, not necessarily your answer, but I kind of have an idea of it. But for people who don't know or aren't familiar, especially with the diaspora, how important it is to have someone who can sort of perform these rites of mediation, we'll say, between the spiritual world and the human world, especially because of the importance of ghost worship in Chinese culture generally and just Southeast Asia. Yeah, sorry, go into that a little bit if you don't mind.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, that's a great question. So it's always better to have someone to know what they're doing, to mediate, right? To act as a medium. I mean, you wouldn't want to do surgery on yourself, right? I mean, it's always good to have someone who knows what they're doing. And about the ghost magic thing, some Taoist practitioners love to work with ghosts because ghosts are, I mean, you can pray to the Taoist gods, right? And they're just divine manifestations of the Tao. You can pray to them, but it takes a while for them to answer. But if you work with spirits, the results are almost instantaneous, and that's why a lot of people love to work with the spirits. For example, I used to live in Thailand, and there are people who pray to someone called. See, I mean, butcher the name. There we go. So
Yeah,
you know this very well. Yes, you know. Yeah, I saw the movie. Actually, there's many movies based on that. I saw the comedy on Netflix. But yeah, they pray to her. And honestly, she came to me in a dream when I was trying to figure out, when I just started doing this, I tried to figure out, who should I work with. And she came to me in a dream and said, "You can work with me." I didn't end up going down that path because although the results with ghosts are instantaneous, I think they're unpredictable sometimes. And that's why I don't work with them. But certainly, like a lot of people, especially in the indigenous practices of Southeast Asia, they love to work with spirits. Even in Taoism, we have a practice called the Wu Gui, the 5 ghosts, where we actually I don't have, because I don't practice that sort of magic, so I don't have an example. But it's made from the same paper as a talisman paper, and it's you have like 5 different cutouts in the shape of ghosts, and then you find out which ghosts you want to work with, actually, and it can get kind of necromantic, and macabre. Actually, you're supposed to go to like a graveyard at night and do a bunch of ceremonies, which is similar to Western occultism, I'm sure.
Is it on Taoism or is it Feng Shui that they have like different schools? Like, is it like Red Hat, Black Hat, something like that? Or
Yeah, I believe that's more of a feng shui, but there are many different schools in Taoism. We have like different branches, kind of like Orthodox, Catholicism, Protestantism. We have the Zhengyi, Orthodox Unity. And then we have another branch, Trenzhen, means complete reality, and they do a lot of scriptural reading. And so they read the Tao Te Ching, and unlike the Christian Bible, where there's only like the Old and New Testament, in Taoism there's over 1,500 books that are considered canon, like holy scriptures. Now I don't know them all, and I have certainly not read them all, but I actually do go over the main ones on my YouTube channel. I go over the Tao Te Ching, the Hua Hu Jing, the Civilizing the Barbarian Sutra. Literally, that's what it means, and the Wenzi. But there's no way I can do all 1,500 books in a lifetime. Yeah.
Are they like different types of books? For example, I don't know. I think it's in like more the Greek Hermetism and so on. They have, or like in Vedic astrology, or sorry, in Vedic stuff as well. They have kind of some books are like poems, and some others are like stories, and some others are like like different kind of types of books or scriptures. Does it work similarly?
Yes, yeah, there are because there are like it's not all written by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is kind of considered the founder, although he just like wrote a few things down. But he is very much venerated. But there are other practitioners who like basically anyone who is considered like an ascended master like can write a Taoist text, and that would be considered canon. You may have heard of like the Bao Pu Zi, the embracing simplicity. There are grimoires like the Lu Ban Shu. I have a talisman actually about Lu Ban. This is the equivalent of what is it? What's a famous like grimoire? Is Agrippa was it three
There's
books
ours.
of the occult? What's the most famous one in Western?
Agrippa's the most famous. Maybe the Keys of Solomon.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. So this is like Luban is the equivalent of like the Keys of Solomon, like Chinese equivalent, Taoist equivalent. Yeah, and that is considered canon as well. And yeah, so there's just there's too many books for any priest to know in a lifetime. Yeah. But there are some main ones.
Great question, Matt. I have a follow-up actually because Matt's question was so good. That we've discussed sometimes in our Grey Lodge spaces the importance of what we call folk sutras, or like the Shioji, or like Outlaws of the Marsh, or like there are deep Taoist and Buddhist, both kind of like a mixture folk religious framework that is in them, and some sects do consider those quote unquote sutras. So if you don't mind making a comment on that, Master GongSun, I'd appreciate that.
Certainly, yeah, this is right up my alley. That's one of the 4 classics of Chinese literature. Outlaws of the Marsh. It's also called, was it Band of something about brothers? Anyway, it's called Shui Hu Juan.
All Men Are Brothers. It has some titles. Yeah,
because there's
I don't even remember
translations of it. Yeah, I just know it's called Shui Hu Juan in Mandarin. But yes, those. Are you talking about like specific sutras that are mentioned in those works of literature? Well, that's great works of literature, of course.
So, of course, in Journey to the West, Shioji, that is a very important concept of the sutra being hidden within the actual novel itself. But then also some sects, I don't know for everybody, but I know in Taiwan that there are some sects that actually, and probably Hong Kong as well, maybe Singapore and like that diaspora, believe that the actual Shioji is a sutric text. Or they at least associate it with being a heterodox part of the greater canon.
Right, right. That's a very good question. Well, of the four great works of Chinese literature, I love Xi the most. It's the most like fantastical, right? We have Sun Wukong as Qi Si Er Bian, the 72 transformations. We have the Jing Guang Ku, the see, I can't think of the English word. The thing over his head that tightens if he disobeys his master, right?
Usually call it a circlet.
There we go. Thank you.
But it's not, that doesn't, I think for English audience, I don't know if that totally makes sense, but that's what they usually translate. So will you go with that?
Okay. All right. Thank you. But anyway, but that I realized that is actually an easy question because that's Buddhist. So I'm not actually too sure because I'm not Buddhist, but that might be considered canon in Buddhism because we do know that the author of the of COG, I believe it's unknown. It's never been ascertained. If I'm not mistaken.
He has a kind of Taoist pseudonym or a Buddhist pseudonym that could be read as emptiness as well. Like his name, like Wukong's name is emptiness, but that's only one way. Chinese obviously has so many ways to express similar or even the same thing, but in very different ways using different characters and different words.
Right. That's true. Right. Yeah. That is very Taoist and Buddhist, right? Because his other disciple, like Zhu Bajie, right, Pixie, is like Wu Jing, or is it Wu Nang? See, I keep mixing them up. And then Sandy is like Wu Nang or Wu Jing. Yeah, but there is that emptiness part. Yes, I believe that if it could be canon if whoever wrote that is said to have attained a certain level of cultivation of the Tao. But it depends on who the author is and how much he has cultivated.
That was a great answer. Sorry, Matt. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was very nice learning about a bunch of stuff. And I was curious to understand also the purpose of the hat you're wearing. If it's like similar to maybe a kippah from the Jewish, like kind of protecting the head. So there's the symbol. Is it? I remember the name right now. I know it in Portuguese, or at least how we call it in Portuguese. It's like the before heaven or something like that, like the heaven from before or whatever in Portuguese.
Right. Are you talking
so
about?
I don't know if it's the same.
Pre-heaven and post-heaven?
Something like that. Yeah.
Pre-heaven. Right. I was just actually bringing about this to brush up because it's been a long time. This is like an introduction to Taoism because those years ago when I learned about that. But essentially, this one here, if you see the three, the qian, right, the divine yang, the skies here facing on top, that's definitely pre-heaven because post-heaven is another one at top. But anyway, this is supposed to be pure because pre-heaven just means anything that existed before creation. But once we come into existence, like there's like changes, right? So that's why they changed even the position of the trigram, because here we are in these meat bags, in these bodies, and we're all slowly heading towards death, heading towards like
as soon as you're born,
like degeneration, right? And that's post heaven, right? Because we're subject to the whims of time and space, the whimsical laws. Maybe I should call them whimsical. They're actually pretty constant, but these laws are not fair to us in general, I think, because because who wants to get aches and pains as they get older, right? Who wants to have deteriorating eyesight, right? But to answer your question, yes, this does protect the head. This is the holiest symbol in Taoism, right? The yin yang symbol, right? And I want to point out that we see a bit of the yin and the yang, and then vice versa, right? And that's because everyone has a bit of everything in us, right? I was born biologically a male. I do have some feminine traits, as does everyone else. And my sister was a tomboy growing up, right? We all have like these traits in us, right? But they're all like part of the same thing, right? Two sides of the same coin. So, yes, it protects my head, and it's supposed to be a sign of like a purity. It's a very holy symbol.
Thank you.
That was a great question, Matt. I didn't even think of that, to be honest. So good job.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for answering, Master.
Was there any other things that you had with you that you wanted to show on screen too? Let's put you on the spot.
That's about it. Well, I do have more stuff like this.
Okay.
People might find this interesting as well. This is This is 驱. It says 驱邪降福, and it means to promote your fortune and to get rid of the evil. 驱邪 means to get rid of evil, actually. And then we have the holy symbol here, and then we also have like you might be interested to know what this is. So here we have a phoenix. Here we have a dragon. Now these are actually very auspicious animals in both Chinese and Taoist culture. In fact, this is one of the guardians of the directions, actually, because each direction has been assigned a guardian. Just like in Wicca, I still have a close friend who identifies as Wiccan. He's a practitioner of Wicca. There's something called the guardian of the watchtower of the west and of the east, right? We have something similar. We have Xifang Qinglong, meaning, Dongfang Qinglong, meaning the green dragon of the east. We have Xifang Baihu, meaning the white tiger of the west. So these are like spirit animals that guard the directions. And you might be interested to know that it's all intricately tied with Chinese culture, because in Chinese culture, the dragon represents the emperor of China, and his empress is represented by a phoenix. So again, we have yin and yang, we have balance. And you'll see that the culture is all about balance, because if you look at Chinese characters, you don't have to know what they mean, but there is a certain beauty about them, about these characters. And the reason is because of symmetry. It's balanced, right? We all want balance in our lives. We don't want too much of anything. Right? So anyway, so that's what this is. And this is just a way to Zhao Cai. Zhao Cai means to summon wealth. Well, I said we don't want too much of anything, but maybe with the exception of money. No one would complain about having too much money, I suppose.
Well, maybe until you get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we also have like these are Taoist symbols as well. This is a hulu. It's a gourd. It's used in Taoist magic, actually. One thing it's used for is to trap evil entities. This is a fan, and I'm sure Jin knows all about it because since he is a fan of 西游记, Niu Mo Wang, which is the 结拜兄弟 of the see, there's no such concept in the West where you are so close to someone you become like brothers and you undergo a ceremony to become a brother, but you're not actually related. But anyway, the Bull King is the brother or the sworn brother of the Monkey King of Sun Wukong, and his wife is Tiesan Gongzu, Princess Iron Fan, and so she uses this to, one blow. One action, and it causes people to be blown like thousands of miles away.
It's a great story. I just want to say that, like, Princess Iron Fan is actually the first Chinese martial. I'm not saying it because they know the daughter, Nick, but I was saying, but Princess Iron Fan is really interesting because it's actually the first martial arts movie ever made. It's lost now. There's only like a clip that's a few seconds long, but it was the first martial arts movie in 1941 made in Shanghai. So very important character, and you can see it in a lot of Hong Kong movies, especially like sort of like these auntie kind of tai characters who have magic powers or psychic powers, and they're kind of like nagging, and yeah, that's kind of her archetype, I'd say. But it's a very funny character, and a lot of Cantonese people really love it.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Of course, there's always the parody version of it too in Hong Kong cinema. A lot of people get into it by just watching the parodies. Yeah. Anyway, so this is something I just hang on my door, actually.
Yeah. This is like, even with that symbol right there, I feel like a lot of occult symbolism in that, just like not even blatant, like the circle and the square together. Circle and the square, very hermetic. Yeah, I don't know. That's the X. You're even getting like the X, and it's just a huge, the cross of the swords. You see that everywhere in different like, I guess, beliefs, symbol like that. It's something that I've gotten out of this so far. I mean, and I guess I kind of looked at it like that anyway, even though I didn't know much about it, because it is so big, and I guess ceremonial magic in a sense. This is very ritualistic, I would assume, like very almost like ceremonial. There's a lot of it. Almost seems as if like it's already known that there's going to be a lot of study or figuring out stuff just getting into this. Pretty interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
That's pretty
spent
wild.
many years, many years learning the basics, actually.
That's like not, sometimes it may look like I'm coming after Christians. It's just kind of funny how you look at like certain religions. It's like you to pick this up, you have to do all this in-depth work, and then somebody's like, "Oh yeah, Jesus saves. I'm good to go." Right? Like, what the fuck? How the fuck does that? like this, just listening to this, I'm like, yo, this is like picking up a whole other like system of ceremonial magic. This is fucking deep shit. It's impressive.
Oh, yeah. It's but there's always an equivalent I notice in the West, like, and that's why I notice like the more I study Taoism, the more I notice, hey, there is some counterpart in Western occult, because I'm also studying a little bit of Western occult, just to, because I like to broaden my horizons and have more to talk about with lovely folks such as yourselves, right? So, and I study all this, and I'm like, hey, we do the same thing in Taoism, so above as below, it's the same thing.
Yeah, another reason that again, like not necessarily I was picking on Christians. I should have even added more that I wanted to say because, like, I know you mentioned earlier about Catholicism. You're interested in that. That, in my opinion, is extremely ritualistic as well. So, is that kind of like were you looking for something that had all of that in there, and that's why this interested you because you were hands-on doing things? Is that something you're kind of like looking to incorporate, regardless of what you were into?
Yes, I do like the ceremony. I like the incense.
We all do.
I like the incense.
I was burning dragon blood resin right now while we were doing this.
yeah, and I yes, and there's something very comforting about the rituals in general, like Eastern rituals and Catholic rituals too. There's very comforting. The prayers, I still remember a lot of the prayers. Hail Mary, full of grace. The Hail Mary prayers, the Our Father, all of it. There is something very not just comforting, but also like it harkens back to like childhood, where we know nothing, we're disoriented, we can't even travel half a block without getting lost.
That's really
And
interesting that you're saying that, and you're incorporating, like you're talking about the mother, and you're saying completely lost, not orientated. Just a real interesting scientific fact. I've mentioned this before. When the mother breastfeeds the child, the mother's pineal gland will actually tell the child all that, where you are.
oh,
yeah, the seasons, the time. Yes, the pineal gland, the mother's pineal gland would talk to the baby's pineal gland.
oh wow, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So it's
all
just
meant
funny
to
that
be.
you mentioned like the mother, and like you don't know where you are. So it's actually the one that does tell you that.
Yeah, and speaking of mothers, there's always like a mother figure in almost every major belief system. We have the Virgin Mary, right? In Catholicism, we have the Guanyin, or the Bodhisattva, goddess of mercy, in Buddhism. We have the equivalent Sihan Zenren in Taoism, right? So there's always a place for like everybody, like for both genders, I would say, like and then even like there's like third genders, like one of the Baxian that you mentioned, Matt. One of them is transgendered. I believe it's Lan Cai He, I believe. Yeah. So, but then again,
Yeah, the
it's
young flower boy.
yeah. Yes, exactly.
Although obviously we think of it as like translated as boy, but yeah, I mean it's always a question, right? Like what exact? It's never quite. He's ambiguous. I think that's a good kind of way to say it.
Yeah, there's only one female, for sure, like of the 8 immortals, but yeah.
Do you think that might go back to kind of like the hermaphroditic symbol for Hod, like Kabbalistically again, like go back to that image? Do you think that might be a tie there, like maybe almost the same thing?
Yes, I do, because somehow we're all separated by oceans and mountains, and we came up with observations that are eerily similar. I mean,
a lot of old alchemical texts show like instead of Baphomet being just one person, it's a man and a female being split apart or together.
Right. Well, it's we do need both, right? According to Taoism.
Yes.
Yeah, and what you were talking about the two polars, like then we have also the great mothers in Bina in Kabbalah, great father in Chokmah. So
is that both. The tree of life there? What is that there?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, right? Yeah, it is.
So when there's the thing in the idea of like the I mean, you're gonna see it better, but one thing generated the one, and the one generated the
Right,
two,
right,
the
right.
two generated
Yes.
the three. So it's gonna be like the same idea. Like there's
Oh,
the
wow.
Ain generates Keter, and then Chokhmah, Bina, and then it generates all the other things.
Right.
So it's always like this idea,
Yes.
all kind of
Yes,
related.
very nice. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I remember one of them was. Oh, I remember some of the names of it because I studied a bit. Malkut is the kingdom. I'm probably mispronouncing it because it's supposed to be in Hebrew.
Yeah,
So
Malkut,
that's what
We're
all
very
are,
casual.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like Gebura and Gedula, but I don't remember what the difference is.
You said it better than most average people.
Yeah, the red and blue. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I studied. Yeah, I find that quite interesting, actually.
There's a good Chinese story actually about that interaction between Kavura and Kadula. It's about the fire god and the water god when they have their gong. I think I can't remember, but they have a battle before the other gods. Like it's a primordial battle right after, depending on what cosmology you believe in. But when the giant cracks the egg and then he comes out, and then the fire and the water god have this kind of crazy battle, and the earth sort of gets recreated again, I guess, or flooded or whatever. But yeah, that's the same. That's very similar.
Right. Yeah, that's so cool.
Was there any other questions that you guys had?
I had one about blue green. Sorry.
Yeah, not that I'm not trying to wrap it
No,
up.
no, not at all. But
Very
so
interesting.
when you were describing and I thought you had a great point. Like it is very similar, Nick, to ceremonial magic, in my opinion, as well. Like really, and then also with the coin, you did pick up on it, and I guess I'm so used to seeing them that it didn't click for me right away. But yeah, it's exactly squaring the circle. It is like the well field. That's the old character for like a Malkuth. That would be like a Malkuth kind of idea, like a well field, like a house with the fields surrounding it. So there'd be like exactly what you guys talked about at the beginning, like a 9 square, but with a 10th in the center. That would be the actual farmstead, and then each field would be portioned off, in a specific way. So it's definitely referring to that, like the central pillar, Zhongguo, right? Like the middle kingdom.
Right.
That's what China is called, right? Like
Mhm.
it's all about like what country believes that they are the center of the world, the pillar of the world. But you had a great point about the dragon, the dragon and the phoenix. So in Chinese, Qing can also mean blue-green. So this is, can you explain a little bit about that? Because a lot of people, when they hear green, they think, oh, it's like jade green, but it's actually not quite jade green. There's actually a little bit of a conceptual difference.
Yes, there is, and apparently it's not just in Chinese, because I lived in Thailand for a little while, and same thing in Thai. From what I could remember, there are like it's hard to. Well, I don't have the best Thai, but at first glance, there is almost no distinction between green and blue. But I'm not sure if it's just because of someone's color blindness, or or maybe because, yeah, or or maybe because of another reason. But yes, Qing has that connotation. But I would say that if you write the character, I mean, it's like kind of like this, right? And that could also, if you just add the 3 dots of water, it means pure, and it's Qing as in the Qing dynasty, and because of that, like that's more associated with like purity, anything like blue or green, like as pure as the most beautiful like tropical ocean, or as blue as the skies.
I mean, you just hit it. It's like this is the Kabbalistic parallel. Is that idea of the blue green also being clear, also being diamond thunder, you could say, also being like the Pardes core, like Matt often talks about, or like I often talk about. I call it Rigpa or diamond thunder. But that kind of fifth density, that's kind of a very important idea of like where you want to go in Kabbalah. You want to kind of go into that conceptual, the pure sky, clear sky, but it looks blue. It looks blue-green or turquoise, but it's actually clear.
Yes, yeah, the very color of purity, of it's supposed to make us feel good, right? We look at it and we're calm, we're soothed, right? When we look at like blue or green. I'm just reading through the comments here. I
Okay.
just realized there are comments, and that's where it's coming from. Because sometimes there's a comment that pops up, and I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Oh yeah, it's me showing up on the bottom. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
I was trying to see if there was any other questions in here. Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention about any of this stuff?
I could respond to some of the comments actually, because some
Yeah.
of the was geared towards me, and I didn't know that there were comments like this until now. So, I suppose where I am right now, I live in Southeast Asia. Actually, right now I'm in Cambodia. Right now.
It's like 12 hours ahead, I think, right? It's like 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, we're exactly. I'm actually at the same place where I saw that demon that I talked about at the beginning. I'm
Oh,
at the exact same house. Yeah, so come around full circle. I'm
okay.
really good friends. Yeah, with some of the villagers here.
He's good friends with the ghost now.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. They let me see the ghosts, and I come and live here, and I try to purify things. But yeah, and anyway, and thank you, Mr. Dreadlock. I spent some time like studying in the U.S. and Canada, so I kind of see myself as an ambassador of Taoism to the West. In order to be an ambassador, you have to learn other people's languages. You have to.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be a part of their culture, but you still have to understand their culture. And I know that if I want to introduce Taoism to the West, then if I can't explain it clearly, or if I have unintelligible English, that would make life much more difficult for me. And someone mentioned something about so the flower boy sounds like in modern terms, in the West as femboy. Yeah, I suppose that would be one of the eight immortals then. Chinese magic. Let's see. Something about tantric sex, I think. Who was it? Semen retention, multi-orgasmic sex. Yes. Where it's technically, so anyway, when we practice our ceremonies, we're technically, as men, we're not supposed to ejaculate at least 3 days before. And there's certain like prohibitions, certain meats we can't eat. Like you can't eat frog before, or duck, or dog. Not that I eat any of those anyway. But so there are certain these rules. I'm not sure where they came from. I'm the least dogmatic out of anyone that I know, but I try not to break certain rules. But I don't think they're in the Tao Te Ching. They're not in any scripture. I think it just came from our sect. Some master, centuries ago, right? Found that if he ate frog, then he can't do magic or something. But yes, you're supposed to retain your semen because that's where the essence is, the Jing. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Rubicon. Yeah, the Jing, the essence. It's supposed, for men anyway, it's supposed to be in the semen. So that's why we're not supposed to ejaculate before doing magic or even writing this, or even writing a talisman. You're not supposed to ejaculate the day of.
That is like a huge thing. Unfortunately, like so many ceremonial traditions, even the lack of eating meat and sex prior to serious rituals.
Yeah,
be something there to that. I'm not stating I could never be vegan. I have limited
neither
meat
could I
prior to rituals.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, neither could I. Yeah,
the frog and the dog make sense. Sorry, Master GongSun.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah. There's frog, dog, duck, and something else. I don't remember what it was.
Frog traps
too many
the
rules
last breath.
to memorize. My master told me too many rules to memorize. So.
And dog is a transgressive substance in Buddhism, so we would only use it for ritual purpose, although we don't use real dog. But it's the idea, right? It's the conceptual idea. But also, frogs trap the last breath. This is something I've heard from folk, Cantonese folk magic. Frogs trap the last breath, so that's why you don't want to eat them before a ritual.
Okay. Also, good thing that you didn't go to Jewish Kabbalah then, because they have 603 things you have to do, or not to, or so. They're very, very stubborn about it. So.
Oh yeah, I could never do that then, because I also like to eat pork, so that's very much against. Right, in the West too, right? There's bacon and ham, and people love pork. We have tasao, Chinese barbecued, Cantonese barbecue pork. I mean, that's to die for.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
I went to the US the first time a couple weeks ago, and I had a burger with bacon jam. First time I had this, I had
Well,
goosebumps
that
eating
sounds
it.
good,
It was
right?
so fucking good.
Sounds
Like,
good.
I got
Bacon
goosebumps
jam,
here.
wow.
That fucking sounds great. I know this. I would assume, unless there's certain staples, in your whatever you do. What are common goals of magical rituals? I mean, I'm just assuming maybe that would be kind of personal. Like, you're the one who
Mhm.
decided that.
Yeah. I would
Uh,
say it's like results magic, right? Similar to like any chaos magic practitioner, right? You want to affect a result. You want something. And in return, we're willing to burn incense, right? I mean, there's nothing free in Taoism, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. If you want something, you got to give something. That's just the way it works. There's even something called yin debt, actually. Now that we're talking about this, where if you haven't been cursed or if your feng shui is great, but if you're still having bad luck, it's because you haven't paid your yin debt. It's called yin zai. It means that once you're dead, I mean, according to the Taoist like theology, you go to the underworld, you're escorted by Nyoto Ma Mian, which is horse face and cow head, right? Those are the psychopomps in Taoism, one of many actually. And but apparently their services don't come for free. So you accumulate a debt. If you can't pay, well, you have to borrow, right? So technically, you're supposed to. Well, actually, that reminds me because I have something here called kanzin. This is spirit money right here. I'm pretty sure Mr. Jin would be familiar with it as well because it's very much used in the East. You're supposed to burn some. You have to calculate your own yin debt, right? Then you got to burn some to pay off your debt. So no such thing as a free lunch or free incense.
I like that. That's interesting.
Right? Yeah, it's called cut gold and spirit money. If you burn it, it goes directly to the underworld, or to whoever relative you want to burn things to. And that's why in Taoist funerals we do a lot of burning. You would see like like you would even see like it's all made of paper, right? But if you want your grandpa to have his iPhone in the afterlife, you have to burn like a cut up like a paper version of a phone. You would see a paper version of a house, right? That's yeah, that's very much about burning the stuff so that your relatives in the underworld could receive it before they reincarnate.
So I guess even another thing that I'm just getting out of from what you're telling me, also very much with like honoring or acknowledging the past, people passed on.
Hmm.
I guess that's kind of like how you even mentioned before. I guess with ghosts, I mean that kind of
Oh
fits.
yeah, ancestor worship. It's called ancestor worship.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I prefer to call it veneration. But in every Taoist, Chinese Taoist household, we would have we call like a ling tang, and it means like a spirit, like an altar, right? And you might have a what we call a like a spirit tablet, and because it's the very fact that without them, there wouldn't be us. If our ancestors, did not have sex, right, we wouldn't be here today, right? So that's why we're honoring them. We're honoring their lives, and in Taoism, where basically like you even after they're dead, you still have to take care of them. You have to make sure they're buried in what we call the a yin residence, yin zai, and it means, and this is a part of feng shui that Matt asked about earlier. That feng shui deals with anything to do with the yin realms. So you make sure that your grandpa is buried in a proper place, a place that is conducive to his own feng shui, and or else there could be hell to pay. I mean, like he could like wreak havoc from beyond the grave. He would let you know that he's unhappy, or right, he could make sure that he would stop your prosperity, for instance, right? So yes, so very much about ancestor veneration, and that's why and that's a cultural thing too, because that's why like having a boy is more seen to be more culturally valuable than having a girl in the in China anyway, because it's patrilineal and patronymic. So the man carries on the family name, right? If you have a girl, she's married off to someone, and she goes to live in her husband's residence, patrilocal too, right? The three P's I call them, the three patries. So yeah, so having descendants is very much a thing in Eastern culture, because they have to be there to like sweep your tomb during this tomb sweeping ceremony. They have to be there to pass on the family name, to continue the lineage.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but that's very much a cultural thing. I know not every culture is like that.
Funny how it goes for Jewish, if I'm not mistaken, it's the woman's side actually.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. If the mother isn't Jewish, you technically. The father could be, and the mother at birth, you're not Jewish.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
I
you
have
guys-
one last one. Okay, so I promise it'll be my last one.
Oh, you're good.
Hey, by Wu Chang. Are you familiar with
Yes.
the? Yes. Okay. So if you, everybody loves this. Like people, Westerners. I'm a Westerner, but I'm gonna use that term to refer to like anyone who's not familiar with Chinese cosmology. It's not I'm not calling anyone names or anything. I'm a part of that. So, but people really love this in the West. I found like the two ghost gods. It's like the journey to the West. It kind of it captures them for whatever reason. So if you don't mind saying a couple of words about them and who they are.
Yeah, so they're like Niu Tou Ma Mian, the what was it called? Horse face and cow head. They're psychopomps. We would call them like Yin Gui Cai or Yin Cai, and it means the Yin police or the ghost police. They're there to escort you to the afterlife, because once for whatever reason, your physical body no longer works on the physical realm, you're dead. It's a permanent transition to the other planes of existence. You got to go. So in Taoism, they don't let you hang around when you clearly don't belong on the earthly plane anymore. You're dead already. You got to leave. So they're there to make sure that you get to where you need to go. So Heibai Wu Tang is these are technically so they're psychopomps, but they're once human. These are two humans that lived in ancient China at different times, and they displayed great virtue. They were compassionate, help others, and the pantheon, led by Yu Huang Da Di, meaning the Jade Emperor. He's supposed to be like the all-powerful number one guy in the pantheon. He made them psychopomps, and it's their job to escort newly deceased souls to the afterlife. And Mr. Jin mentioned the movie Rigor Mortis, a Hong Kong movie. Those two appeared in that film, as I'm sure you remember, in the hallway holding umbrellas. I remember that scene very well. And there was a woman and her child there, and then the main character, they were all terrified, right? But the woman said, well, who was it that said, someone told the main character, don't bother them, get out of their way, and they won't reap your soul. So they're like Grim Reapers, essentially. Yeah. And in Taiwan, they're called Qi Ye Ba Ye, seventh grandpa, eighth grandpa. Yeah. I'm not sure why, but anyway, yeah.
You must have a different story over there. They must have some other weird, folktale that they associate with that. Thank you so much. That was a great. That was better than I could do. So thank you so much for that.
Funny how you mentioned the ghost police. They have a very similar concept in Afro-syncretic religions in Brazil. So like Umbanda, this kind of things, where it's the same. Like if you go to a cemetery, there's going to be like the specific like Exu or like Pombagira or whatever that kind of guards the place and makes sure that, like you said, there's nobody like wandering around. They just let's go next reincarnation. Just push it over. Don't mess around.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yes, that's right. They don't mess around.
I guess if you guys are good, I guess we could probably wrap it up here. Unless there's anything else that you wanted to add, or any questions Matt or Jin had. I'm pretty good. That was a lot of stuff, dude. thank you very much for coming on. Like again, I really
Well, thank
I
you.
didn't know anything behind it, and you really have piqued my interest. So
Thank you
it's
for
I
hosting. I
almost
had
want
a
to
lot of fun.
start looking at your stuff to see if it helps me out on my end with the stuff I'm into. Yeah. Yeah. Again, thank you very much, and again, Matt and Jin, thank you guys for jumping on. I mean, I truly enjoyed this. It wasn't bad getting up at 10 o'clock. Making sure I was ready for 10 o'clock Sunday morning for this. I truly enjoyed doing this. Before we end it, we'll have everybody plug this stuff and let everybody know where you can find them. Jin, real quick, let everybody know where they can find your amazing work.
Sure. So I just want to say, 谢谢你, Master GongSun, and thank you to Nick and Matt, especially for tolerating my like diaspora Taoist Buddhist spurg. Matt knows this is like I barely get to discuss it like as much. So thank you so much, Master GongSun, for tolerating it and like dealing with my kind of meandering way of getting there. Maybe that's
Not
very
at all.
Bastian,
Yeah.
but I
had
really
a lot of
appreciated
fun.
it. Yeah, me too. And thank you, Nick, for inviting me, and Matt, obviously, for joining. Of course, I love that. And that's all. I don't need to plug myself, but you can always check me out, Wukong Reborn and Threshold Saints, and obviously the Grey Lodge. And I have a lot of fun doing these like some panels like this, where it's like a kind of newfound topic, because I can't be a master of like all the subjects. Like I'm not even a master of my own like tantric Buddhism. So like it's to do this and like be able to sort of explore the system I'm sort of familiar with, but not quite, is really very edifying for me. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're already very knowledgeable, Jen. I'm very impressed with your knowledge already. Actually, you know a lot more than because you grew up in the West, right? But you seem to be very knowledgeable about Eastern concepts as well.
I did live in Asia for quite a long
Oh,
time, so
okay.
that's part of it too.
Oh, I see.
Now we're figuring it out. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate you coming on for real. Matt, thank you again, bro, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find all your amazing stuff.
For sure. Also had a lot of fun. Resonate with what Jin was talking about. Like, I wish, I could clone myself, and, part of a clone of myself is like in China learning all the Taoist stuff. Another clone is learning all the other stuff. So I cannot. I'll just hang on with the Kabbalah, which is pretty good already. But yeah, had a lot of fun. Thanks, Master. Thanks, Nick, for calling. Thanks, Jin, for being here as well. Thanks, everyone in the comments. So yeah, you can always find me on all socials at Metmora19. So that's Twitter, that's YouTube, that's Instagram, TikTok, and now Twitch as well. Shout out to Polar Knights in the chat. Just create an account there.
That's my one
I'm on
fan on Twitch.
Exactly. Now I'm on Twitch as well. Who knows? Maybe I'll start doing streamings, reading the Archeometer. I should do those. And also my website, that's always Kabbalah.com, KAABALAH.com. Thanks a lot again.
No, thank you very much for coming on, Matt. And Master GongSun, please let everybody know where they can find all your stuff.
Certainly, I'm at on YouTube. I'm at Master GongSun Taoism. You can go to the sweetdivinetao.com where I discuss my own lineage of Taoism. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X at /Master GongSun1. And I'm going to add all of you on there, actually. I'm going to follow you guys on Twitter, Instagram, and everything as well.
Yeah, I had no idea you were on Twitter. I got to find you on there. Sure.
Oh, I don't really use it.
Oh, okay.
Either, but that's how I reach people, because most people are active on there. So I force myself to create an account.
Oh, if it wasn't for me trying to get in touch with like either people for the show and stuff, I probably really wouldn't use social media that much at all. Like I'd have my preset posts from like, Spreaker or whatever, or like share from YouTube, but I really don't think I'd be on social media much anymore. It's fucking shithole. Shit show, really.
Yeah.
That shithole, just a shit show.
Okay, I just followed Jin, so I'm gonna follow as many as you.
I'll definitely follow you back. And I want to apologize for I made a couple of Mandarin mistakes. I know there's a couple language spurgs in our fandom, I guess we'll call them, and I apologize for that. I'm rusty.
Well, that's all right.
I only speak Mandarin with my dad, so it doesn't happen that often.
I understood you perfectly. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay,
communication, right? It's just about understanding, right? If we can understand each other, then that's all that matters, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. But I know it's a little rusty. Thank you.
I will after the show. I totally forgot. I will include your YouTube link in the show notes so people can go over and smash that subscribe button over there. So definitely go check out his channel. Again, Matt, Jin, Master, I really appreciate you guys coming on. GongSun, you're always welcome on. If you ever got an idea or a topic for the show, please just hit me up. I'm sure we'll keep in touch anyway. But if you ever got an idea for the show, definitely welcome on, man. That was a great presentation, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody in the chat. There was awesome questions. I really appreciate that. People listening, you want to ask questions, please just throw them in there. The guests, I'm sure, will be happy to answer them. And it's less work for us. No, but there's a lot of questions that sometimes people ask in the chat. I'll be like, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like, I know myself sometimes as a listener when the show's over, like, ask this or that. So I will get those ideas from the listeners. So please, if you got questions, throw them in there. Again, thank you all. It was an awesome show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And until the next one, everybody be well.